This is the MeidasTouch podcast. We have a lot to discuss. President Zelenskyy of Ukraine was in the White House today, along with allies from Europe. They made a very strong push back against Donald Trump after the disastrous meeting Donald Trump had with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, where Trump literally had the United States soldiers roll out a red carpet for Vladimir Putin. Trump had American soldiers go on their knees for Putin as Putin and his foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, were laughing at Donald Trump. Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, was wearing a USSR shirt to show the imperial ambitions of Russia and a big FU to the United States and Donald Trump. You saw the clip there. For those listening on audio, you probably have seen the viral clip from MeidasTouch at this point of Donald Trump being unable to walk in a straight line, zigzagging on that red carpet. We'll talk about that as major issues have now arisen over his cognitive abilities, which we've been talking about on the MeidasTouch network over and over again. We'll talk more about what Donald Trump's Gestapo, the ICE agents, and now with the National Guard being activated from other red states and put into Washington, D.C., the implications of that. We've seen some horrific videos across the country that we've been focused on here at the MeidasTouch network. Protests taking place across the country, or we should say music festivals are taking place across the country that corporate news refuses to cover. We cover that here at the MeidasTouch network. Donald Trump's approval continues to plummet. The latest Pew poll has his approval at 38%. He's got negative approval from every single demographic. We'll get into that and more here at the MeidasTouch on the MeidasTouch podcast. Brett, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here with you, Ben. It's good to be here with you, Midas Mighty. Everybody watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen or watch the show. It is great to be here with you. We got a lot of news to cover. Jordy is on some business right now. You know, all those deals that we get for you, the sponsor deals. Jordy is working away to get you guys some more of that right now. So he is not here in the episode. So please don't yell at me. Don't yell at Ben about it. I know there's this big free Jordy movement whenever he's not on the show, but Jordy is grinding. He's working hard. We're working hard. I know all of you are working hard, and we got a whole lot to discuss. So Ben, let's get right into it. What's the latest?
Yeah, so it was last week Donald Trump had that bizarre press event at the Kennedy Center with the ladies in the evening dresses who were unveiling the nominees like Sylvester Stallone. But then Donald Trump was also talking about the forthcoming meeting, because it was on Tuesday, the forthcoming meeting that would have taken place or did take place now on Friday in Alaska with Vladimir Putin. And Donald Trump said if Russia did not agree to a ceasefire, there would be severe, severe consequences against Russia. Let's just remind you of what Trump said. Let's play it.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes. Yeah, please.
And that's just a version of Donald Trump saying 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 60 days, whatever. There's no severe consequences. In fact, Donald Trump bought into all of Russia's maximalist demands, all of their conquest demands. So after meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday, where Donald Trump was like a little schoolboy giddy at seeing like a famous athlete for the first time. Literally, that's what Donald Trump was doing after he zigzagged on the red carpet. He met with Putin, and then Trump left the meeting saying, we don't want a ceasefire. Huh? You don't want, the whole point of it was to secure a ceasefire. Trump goes, we don't want a ceasefire. What needs to happen, and this is what he's been bullying Zelenskyy about all weekend since the Russia meeting. So that's why Zelenskyy showed up today with his European allies to push back against Trump. Is Trump said, look, you got to give up Donbass, all of it. You got to give up Zaporizhzhia. You got to give up all of this land that Russia has not been able to take over during its invasion, which Russia likely would not be able to take over for many, many, many years, not take over for all if we adequately supported Ukraine. Just hand it over to Russia. Just give it to them right now, and then just be happy because Vladimir Putin says that he will allow Ukrainians to still speak their native language and they won't have to speak Russian. That's what Donald Trump got out of that meeting. Literally all of Russia's demands. Then Donald Trump just started bullying Zelenskyy the entire weekend on social media. Donald Trump would go on his official account and he'd post these like weird, like MAGA memes, and he'd post things like this. President Zelenskyy of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. Remember how it started? No getting back Obama given Crimea 12 years ago without a shot being fired, exclamation point. 12 and no going into NATO by Ukraine. Some things never change, exclamation point. Then he posts this like weird photo of like a random lady named @Lorraine wearing a MAGA hat.
This is so incredibly bizarre.
Just for those people on audio, just like a random lady looking at the camera, like, and it's like a bad photo too. And it goes, Ukraine must be willing to lose some territory to Russia. Otherwise, the longer the war goes on, they will keep losing even more land. So you have that. Then he posted this letter as well from his wife, Melania. Trump posted a letter from Melania to Putin, which is like one of the strangest letters I've ever read. Let me just read you parts of it. It says, Dear President Putin, every child shares the same quiet dreams in their heart, whether born randomly into a nation's rustic countryside or a magnificent city center. They dream of love, possibility, and safety from danger. Goes on and on and on. It says, yet in today's world, some children are forced to carry a quiet laughter, untouched by the darkness around them, a silent defiance against the forces that can potentially claim their future. Mr. Putin, you can single-handedly restore their melodic laughter. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends all human division. And you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with the stroke of a pen today. It's time. Sincerely, squiggly lines, which I think is Melania's signature. Now, I think the important thing to note about this letter as well is it doesn't mention Ukraine once, and it doesn't mention Ukrainian children. And so people are like, look, she wrote this letter to Vladimir Putin saying, return the Ukrainian children. No, she didn't. She literally did not say that at all. Russia has kidnapped 40,000 Ukrainian children. Many of them have been sex trafficked, tortured. They've had their lives destroyed, ripped apart from their family. And then Melania has the audacity to say that you can be the one to return their melodic laughter. Excuse me, he was the one who kidnapped them when he invaded Ukraine. And so that's what Donald Trump's been boasting, Brett.
I didn't realize that the secret weapon that Donald Trump refused to say, his key to ending the whole Russian invasion of Ukraine, was going to be a letter from Melania. Had I known that, I would have given the guy a lot more respect back now. I'm obviously being sarcastic here. This is just another, part of the clown show that we've been witnessing here. And you could see that anytime Donald Trump speaks about the situation, he speaks about it from the perspective of Ukraine as the aggressor. And I think the language he's using is just incredibly revealing. Like if you look at that tweet or Truth Social post, whatever it is that we were showing you before, he views this as it's Ukraine's decision. If only Ukraine didn't do the things that they did that caused Russia to invade. It was all Ukraine's fault. If Ukraine would just be willing to end this war, then this could all be over. Clearly saying exactly what Ben was saying in the beginning of the show, that he is demanding that Ukraine cede parts of their country to Vladimir Putin. In other words, Donald Trump's plan for peace, quote unquote, peace, is full-on surrender. This is what Kamala Harris was calling out back in the campaign. It's what we were saying nonstop. And every time Donald Trump speaks in these situations, it is revealed that, yes, Donald Trump's plan for Ukraine and Russia is for Ukraine to surrender, for Ukraine to give up land. And we all know, based on very simple historical facts, what happens when people give up land to Russia. They continue to come for more. If they were to do this, this would not be the end of it. And Donald Trump would be rewarding Russia for their aggression and their illegal invasion. I thought that meeting with Vladimir Putin was an absolute travesty, seeing our soldiers on their knees, literally rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin disgusted me like nothing else I have seen in many, many years. What a horrifying image. What humiliation for the United States. How dare Donald Trump treat our troops like that? And then we see this meeting today, and I was happy to see those European leaders standing beside Volodymyr Zelenskyy. You had this interesting power dynamic that felt very much like the entire world against the United States. A united European front and Ukraine against the US and Donald Trump, who ran off literally in the middle of the talks to go talk to Vladimir Putin. I guess he had to speak to the boss about what was going on at the White House. Absolutely disgraceful what we're witnessing.
Yeah, so during the meeting today, just to emphasize what Brett just said, where you had Donald Trump and you had the leaders of Europe there, the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz. You had the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte. You have the President of Finland there. You had the Prime Minister of Georgia, of Italy there. You had all these people there. Donald Trump says, I've got to take a call from Putin while they're at the meeting. And then Donald Trump leaves and speaks to Putin. I mean, just think about how utterly disrespectful that is. I want to talk more about that meeting in a moment. But Brett, you mentioned former Vice President Kamala Harris, and she warned about all of this. I just want to remind people, elections have consequences. And she was out there during the campaign, not just speaking in complete sentences, which Donald Trump was not doing, but she was describing in detail foreign policy and the way it should actually go down, how you would handle a meeting with Putin if you were going to do a meeting with Putin. So here she was on CBS, and she was asked, would you meet Putin? And I'll show you what her response is. Here, play this clip.
These dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace.
Powerful words. That was actually at the debate. Do we have her again? There's another clip of her as well, if we've got another clip of her.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Exactly right. And that's exactly what we saw happen in Alaska. Putin ate him for lunch, showed up, had Trump roll out the red carpet. Putin was laughing in Donald Trump's face and in the face of American troops. Putin got exactly what he wanted out of it. He also spread lies about the 2020 elections that, you really won and you should cancel mail-in ballots, Donald, because the mail-in ballots is the reason that you lost. And by the way, Donald Trump's been out today posting, we're canceling mail-in ballots. Like, Putin manipulated the guy in such an obvious and ridiculous way. And Trump's out there. For those on audio, we're putting up the image of what Donald Trump posted this morning. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper. Wow, 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 wow. Then he has all caps, says the Republican Party is going to fight this. We're going to fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity. And then he just goes on and whine. But he's literally parroting what Putin told him on Friday. By the way, this is former Vice President Kamala Harris at that CBS interview I was talking about. Let's play this as well. Exactly what Donald Trump wanted to happen. Remember, the very first meeting with Zelenskyy was about bullying Zelenskyy with words and mockery in the Oval Office to surrender, and Zelenskyy held his ground. And now Zelenskyy comes back with Europe, with all of Europe there, shoulder to shoulder, making a very powerful statement, both in the appearance and in their words, Brett.
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at that footage, like she was just absolutely spot on with every single thing she said. And so you see now, though, Zelenskyy coming to the White House, and he's employing new strategies. And the things that you realize across when you look at all of these leaders, whether it's somebody like a dictator like Vladimir Putin, or whether it's somebody like President Zelenskyy, or all these European leaders, every leader now knows very easily how to manipulate Donald Trump. And I think they kind of realize also that like the last person who gets in Donald Trump's ear is like a person who's able to like influence him a little bit. And so they use like, you know, these flattery tactics to try to get him on their side. They treat him like he's a toddler, you know, at the end of the day. Oh, Donald, look, oh, you very impressive. Very good job, Donald. Oh, very good. Oh, you made poo-poo today, Donald. Very good. Like this is how they treat Trump. Anytime.
Can I show the example of that, Brett? Like, so when Zelenskyy shows up today, he brings a letter from his wife, the first lady of Ukraine, to give to Melania. And then Zelenskyy opens up by speaking first and praising Melania's letter and saying, we appreciate Melania asking for the return of Ukrainian children. To be clear, Melania's letter does not mention the word Ukraine once in it. It looks like ChatGPT created the weirdest like sounding poem.
By the way, speaking of, I saw a few people online. I haven't done this myself, so you know I'll call it unconfirmed for now. But I saw a few people online who said they ran Melania's letter through software that detects whether or not it was written by AI, and that it's all come back that it's at least like 90+% written by AI. That letter.
That shouldn't shock you. I mean, during the first Republican convention that Donald Trump participated in, she literally plagiarized word for word, bar for bar, Michelle Obama's previous Democratic convention speech. Like she didn't think that anybody was going to be like, wait a minute, that's literally, she literally read Michelle Obama's speech, like word for it. Anyway, so here was Zelenskyy's version of manipulating Donald Trump. Let's watch this.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for invitation, and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, First Lady of Ukraine. She gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah. So we are saying this sensitive topic. Yes, please. And thanks to our partners and that you supported this format. That after our meeting we can have leaders who are around us, UK and France, Germany, Italy, Finland, EU, NATO. I mean, all partners around Ukraine supporting us. Thanks to them, and thank you very much for invitation.
Thank you very much for being here.
That's been just, you have to manipulate him and play him, you know, like that. When Melania didn't mention Ukrainian children. So
and let me just say, smart strategy, Zelenskyy. Do it ever you need, right? I think it's often easy, you know, for kind of commentators watching things to be like, oh, don't praise the guy. He's an asshole. He's a liar. And I totally agree. Like he is all of those things. But Zelenskyy right now has to look out for a situation of life or death for millions and millions of people in his country. And if he and Europe can help actually get to a point where there is peace in Ukraine, then I think that's a positive. And if he has to manipulate Donald Trump in order to get there, I'm all for it 110%.
Because let's just remember what came out of that Friday Alaska meeting. Again, one of the most humiliating, probably the most humiliating meeting involving the presidency in the history going back to George Washington, from Donald Trump waddling in zigzags and being unable to walk straight, to clapping like a fanboy for Putin, to Putin's right-hand person wearing a USSR shirt to mock the United States, to Putin in the what do they call it, the Beast limousine, laughing at the United States, to Putin speaking first at the joint press conference and saying that Donald Trump should come to Moscow, and Donald Trump said, I may get a little heat for that. I don't know. To then Donald Trump parroting all of Putin's points. And then Trump spent the weekend like trolling Zelenskyy. I mean, on the most profound matters of war and peace, life and death, genocide, or the survival of a nation. Trump was basically saying, give up, like on social media, like the way there'd be like, I don't even know, the way like seventh graders would argue with each other. That's how Donald Trump was like, give up your land, just give it up. You can end it right now. Just give it up. Like, what are you, the whole weekend he was posting that. So then Zelenskyy, though, comes in with all of Europe, the coalition of the willing, to push back on Donald Trump and to then lay down what not just Ukraine's position is, but all of Europe. And making the point, Europe, Ukraine are one. So do not just pick off Ukraine. That ain't the way it happening. You're dealing with France and Italy and the UK and Germany and Finland and the entire EU. That's who you're dealing with here, Donald, because they know that Donald Trump doesn't respect, despite all of the courage and heroism, Ukraine. So they all came together. So then you had Germany's Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, and he's there, and he's like, they're letting him know, Donald, there's no deal unless Putin agrees to a ceasefire. Zelenskyy agrees to a ceasefire. You want to end this war? It's easy. Have Putin agree to a ceasefire. Then we talk. Phase 1, ceasefire. Here, watch this. This is Germany Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Let's play it.
Last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today, are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president, and we'll see how that works out. And if we can do that, I will say, and again I say it, in the 6 wars that I've settled, I haven't had a ceasefire. We just got into negotiations, and one of the wars was, as you know, in the Congo was 31 years long. Another one that we settled last week with 2 great countries was 35 years going on, and we had no ceasefire. So if we can do the ceasefire, great. And if we don't do a ceasefire, because many other points were given to us, many points were given to us, great points.
You're not listening, Donald, idiot. I mean, there's like an idiot. I mean, that's like watching him. It's like actually watching just like a profoundly dumb and dangerous person in a room with very smart people. No, the Chancellor of Germany said the meeting's not going to take place unless there's a ceasefire. And Donald Trump goes, well, we're going to let the president speak to the president. No, that meeting doesn't happen unless Putin agrees to a ceasefire. Are you listening? And then Donald Trump makes up, this is his new thing, that he stopped 6 wars. 6 wars. He goes that he stopped. He didn't. And he's like, oh, India and Pakistan, I stopped that. No, you didn't. You absolutely had nothing to do with it. I stopped Thailand and Cambodia. No, you didn't. I dangled trade in front of them, and then they just stopped the war. No, you didn't. You didn't do any of this stuff. And that's what he wants credit for. You said that you would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. That's what you said. You said it would be an easy thing for you to do. Even before you got into office, it was that easy. You failed. You said you would end the war in Gaza in 24 hours. You failed. Things are far worse right now. The atrocities continue to mount there and in Ukraine. You failed. You're a failure. And now you said that if Putin didn't agree to a ceasefire, then there would be severe consequences. Now there's not severe consequences. So you're just a clown. I mean, you're just a buffoon. And Brett, to your point, now you have, the people who are actually fighting for democracy in there. They're employing the same tactics, like manipulate, trying to manipulate him in the right direction, unlike Putin doing it in the wrong direction. But I'm just here as an American watching our idiot, watching this idiot, this dangerous, profoundly stupid human being who's humiliating my country. And then it also pains me that there's a portion of the population that looks at this and still thinks that this makes sense and that this represents them and they like it. And I'm thinking, this is the worst. He made our troops bend the knee and kneel for Vladimir Putin. What are you talking about, Brett?
Yeah, I still, like I said before, I still cannot believe that image of our troops on their knees rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. This is something that's just not going to get out of my head. But, I guess if I could say, one silver lining, one good thing about today's meeting, I'm happy that we saw all of Europe there together, showing a united front with Zelenskyy. I thought that was important to see. And I hope that there are developments that can come out of this united front and showing the world just kind of how differently Europe is treating the situation from Donald Trump, from Vladimir Putin. And hopefully we could see some progress here, because I do definitely want to see this Ukrainian invasion, this invasion of Ukraine by Russia end. There's too much bloodshed. There's too much catastrophe happening every single day. The images are not shown enough, I would say, on the legacy news. People are not realizing the devastation that is going on in Ukraine on a daily basis. And by the way, recently as well, anytime Donald Trump has, right as they were going to do those talks between Trump and Putin the other day, what did Putin do just to mock Donald Trump? Ramped up the attacks on Ukraine right at the same time to show that side by side. I want this to end. I'm hoping that Europe is able to push the ball forward here, and we'll see what happens here. But it's certainly not going to be because of Donald Trump. That's for sure.
Just want you to think, he has all those leaders in Europe right there. He makes them wait for 40 minutes. So he takes a phone call from Vladimir Putin. While there, you had to take that phone call right then and there and leave the European allies to speak to Putin. Again, you speak to him another day, speak to him tomorrow, speak to him later. 40 minutes on the phone with Putin. Jeez. The United States of America. Did you see that Russian tanks are flying American flags now in Ukraine? They're flying American flags next to Russian flags on Russian tanks, because that's the message that Donald Trump is sending. Weakness masquerading as strength. When we come back, I want to talk more about that, how you have people like California Governor Gavin Newsom and others now punching back, calling Donald Trump out for his weakness, and you're seeing how the media can't get their mind around the fact that someone's mocking Donald Trump using Trump's style. Like, it literally exposes everything. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the music festivals. I mean, the protest. I mean, the music festivals. We'll talk about that. That's the code word right now being used, because a lot of social media algorithms are censoring the word protest, not on YouTube, but some others are. So for now, we can call them protests.
By the way, just think about how crazy that is, just for 1 second, that people are being forced to refer to the protests that are going on across the country against the Trump regime as music festivals, so that they are not censored by the algorithms of big tech social media apps who are in bed with Donald Trump. It's just we gloss over it, quickly, just because you all know what we're talking about, but that's chilling.
Let's take our first quick break of the show. A reminder, please become a member of our YouTube channel right now. It goes a long way to help the growth of this independent media network. You can gift memberships to other people as well. There's like a button that says join. You click it on YouTube, and then you can gift memberships to people who may not be able to afford them. It helps our media network grow. Also, check out MeidasPlus.com. And a reminder, we will be in Omaha, Nebraska. We hope to see everybody there. Adam Mockler will be hosting the event with Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congressmember Maxwell Frost as guests. If you're from the Omaha area, go right now to won'tbackdowntour.com. book your spot so you can attend this MeidasTouch event. We're doing it with the great organization Move On, and MeidasTouch host Adam Mockler will be hosting it. So please go to that event. All right, let's take our first quick break of the show.
Okay, you guys, I can't gatekeep this online editing tool we use in Meidas anymore, and I think it's going to change the way that you share videos online forever. If you haven't heard of Opus Clip, I'm about to blow your mind. So Opus Clip is an online video editor that allows you to easily upload video files, YouTube videos, you name it. It then takes that long video and automatically cuts it down to the best moments, formatted for your favorite social media apps. As a growing but nimble operation here at MeidasTouch, this has changed the way we're able to get out content so we can get it to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. What used to take us hours now takes just minutes. With the auto import feature, we load our podcasts into Opus Clip. It then instantly auto edits them into social media ready clips. It reframes videos, making sure the viewer is seeing exactly what they're supposed to, like if somebody's speaking, if two people are speaking, or if we play a clip. We can customize the captions, add B-roll. Opus Clip even tells you what clips have the best chance of going viral. In this fast-paced information climate, we need to be able to get the truth out fast, and Opus Clip has been essential in helping us do that. Even if you don't make your own content, by spreading content that tells the truth and calls out all the BS, it does make a difference. For example, even if you have no editing experience, you can make your own social media ready clips from all your favorite MeidasTouch reports. So if you hear something that you want to share from this show or any of our episodes, use the link opus.pro/Meidas to get a full month off their pro plan on top of the 1-week trial everyone gets for signing up. Drop the YouTube link into Opus, and in a few minutes, you'll be able to share professional clips across your socials. That's opus.pro/Meidas, opus.pro/MEIDAS. Try it now. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all post. Okay, you know you need to protect your skin from the sun, but what if you could protect it from things like collagen loss and inflammation, and even repair some of the damage you did when you were younger? The good news is you can, something I learned from my scientist friends at OneSkin. I've been using their whole line of mineral SPFs for the face, body, and lips, and I'm honestly impressed. Not only do they protect against UV damage now, they work at the cellular level to help reverse the sun damage I racked up in my teens and 20s. My skin feels smoother, looks more even, and I've noticed age spots and fine lines starting to fade. The face SPF is lightweight and breathable, available in tinted or untinted. The body SPF is water resistant and helps prevent collagen loss. And the lip SPF, it hydrates instantly and is scientifically proven to keep lips healthy, bouncy, and firm. It's all made with mineral non-nano zinc oxide, vitamin C, and the powerful OS1 peptide. So you're getting protection, nourishment, and repair in one step. It's advanced sun care that performs like skincare. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using code MEIDAS at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code MEIDAS, MEIDAS. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Welcome back to the MeidasTouch Network. Thank you to our sponsors. Discount codes are in the description below. Before just moving on from the disastrous Trump-Putin Alaska meeting and then what took place today in the White House, I do just want to show you how the Trump regime is trying to spin this. I mean, so weak, so sheepish. You have Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. He was trying to say all weekend that nobody ever said that a deal was going to be made in Alaska. No one said that that was the purpose of that meeting, is what he tries to claim, when clearly the whole purpose of it was to try to get a ceasefire. That's what everybody was saying the goal was, what Trump was saying the goal was, or there would be severe consequences. Now they just move the benchmarks back and say, yeah, no one ever actually said that. Here, play this clip of Rubio.
Why did President Trump's meeting with Putin end with no ceasefire? And what does Putin want?
Well, yeah, well, a couple things. First of all, if you recall, there's no way you can have a meeting like that. And we never said there was going to be a deal coming out of the meeting because the Ukrainians are not there. This is a war between two countries. It's not America. It's Ukraine and Russia. We met with the Russian side. We've spoken repeatedly with the Ukrainian side. We'll see them again tomorrow in person, along with our allies in Europe. So I do think some progress was made in that talk.
That's what they do with everything, right? Though, Brett, I mean, that's what they talk about that meeting. That's what they say when it comes to that they were going to do 90 deals in 90 days, right? We never said that. We never said 90 deals in 90 days.
Trump just sent it was a joke.
We were being sarcastic. You know, Trump just sent a letter, and those were deals. We've done deals with everybody. Okay, well, let's just talk about the countries that you're claiming that there are deals with. Any paperwork we can look at? Is there anything in writing, perchance? No. What is it? Trump did a social media post. Oh, got it. So the deal is the social media post or letters that he's sending out. It's quite literally every single issue is like this. And it's just so bizarre with such open and obvious fraud. And you have people like Marco Rubio, who once upon a time, many a year ago, was a somewhat serious human being who now is out there doing this crap, like for Donald Trump, like just for a total idiot who's like, it just makes it makes no like sense. I can't even grapple. Like, we all saw what went down in Alaska. How could anyone normalize that? You know, and then before that, what even happened in the Kennedy Center? How can anyone normalize that? When you've got Donald Trump walking on the roof of the White House and talking about building nuclear weapons on the roof and saying he owns DC and pointing around, like, how could anybody normalize this behavior? And you see this MAGA cult just do it every single day. I'll show you in contrast. You know, and it's like, you know, you look at these Democratic politicians and these up and coming leaders, people like Democratic Congress member Jason Crow, right? Just to give you his background, he's from Colorado 6th Congressional District. Here's a guy who got, he's an Army Ranger. He completed 3 tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan as part of the 82nd Airborne Division. And major battles, the Battle of Samoa, awarded a Bronze Star Medal. I mean, this is on the other hand, on the one hand, you've got like Rubio and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And on the other hand, you got guys like Jason Crow, Congress member. Here's how he talked about what went down in Alaska. Just let me give it to you from the perspective of someone from our armed forces. Here, play this clip.
But compare that to what this administration has done, which has relieved almost all pressure. Like, look at what happened on Friday. U.S. military personnel in uniform literally were on their hands and knees rolling out a red carpet for the most murderous dictator of the 21st century. Somebody who is kidnapped and is holding prisoner tens of thousands of Ukrainian children. Somebody who started this whole war, right? This both sidesism that the administration is engaging in, that both sides need to come to the table and negotiate. Ukraine is the victim. They are the victim. They didn't start this war, Russia did. And somehow we keep on acting like Vladimir Putin deserves to be brought out into the open like any other head of state. Yeah. This is a historic embarrassment and defeat for U.S. foreign policy.
And by the way, I give her credit, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, when she was there in front of Trump, she said, let's be clear here. Okay, all of us, we're on the side of Ukraine. I just want to be very clear. This is a basic issue. We support Ukraine in Europe. We don't know what the hell you're doing. Watch Italian Prime Minister Meloni. Here, play this.
We are in. You can obviously count on Italy as it was from the beginning. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we do absolutely support your efforts towards peace. We will talk about many important topics. The first one is security guarantees, how to be sure that it won't happen again, which is the precondition of every kind of peace. I'm happy that we will discuss about that. I'm happy that we will begin from a proposal, which is the, let's say, Article 5 model, which was Italian at the beginning. So we are always ready to bring our proposals for peace, for dialogue. It's something we have to build together to guarantee peace and to defend the security of our nation. So thank you, Mr. President, for hosting us.
Let me give you some behind the scenes of what's taking place as well. You heard Prime Minister Meloni say, Article 5 guarantees. That's in the treaty that established NATO, that says an attack on one is an attack on all. And really the main time it's ever been invoked was when the United States was attacked on 9/11, and everybody came to the side of the United States of America and formed a coalition, then a coalition of the willing. And then America turned all of that goodwill into bad will by invading Iraq and having, a very problematic situation there, to say the least. But Donald Trump, here's what's happening. Behind the scenes, Donald Trump and his team are telling Ukraine, America will give you Article 5-like guarantees with Putin. And America will be the one that does it. And of course, Ukraine and Europe go, you're not, Donald Trump, you haven't even affirmed Article 5 with respect to NATO. And your statements have basically been, would you honor Article 5 if NATO was attacked? And we've shown you clips before on the MeidasTouch podcast where Donald Trump says, I don't know if they pay their fair share or if they pay. So Donald Trump would not provide security guarantees to Ukraine in an Article 5 style. That's what Donald Trump and his regime are referring to it as. So Europe needs to be integrally involved. And that's what they're saying when they go, we need to make sure there are real lasting security guarantees, real, meaning we don't trust what you're saying there, Donald Trump. On the other hand, there's been a security assessment done by the British Intelligence Service and many others, which they say that if the United States doesn't provide Ukraine with any weapons and the U.S. tries to just totally drain Ukraine and sanctions aren't accelerated against Russia, then and Russia would take about 4 years to 4.5 years for it to be able to take over the Donbass region at the current pace. But Russia would lose about 300 to 500,000 Russians would die, with over 1.9 million casualties, in order for Russia just to be able to take the remaining parts of Donbass if the U.S. totally backed out, didn't accelerate sanctions, and didn't help at all. So what the battle happening behind the scenes, just to give everybody a sense of what's taking place, is Russia wants it now, because then Russia could jump into that land and then use that to get closer to Kyiv, basically without giving any concessions. On the other hand, what Europe, our NATO allies, want to do as much as possible is just try to get this thing past a Trump regime into a new administration that will help Ukraine and push back. So that's the tension happening behind the scenes. When Russia uses the language, we're not going to agree to anything unless it addresses the root causes of the war. That's Russian propaganda for the existence of Ukraine, and NATO forced us to invade Ukraine. So the root cause, eliminating the root cause, means the genocide of Ukraine. So that's the language, and that's all these chess moves happening behind the scenes. I just wanted to break it down for everybody.
Yeah, and Trump's idea of peace, and I put peace in the biggest quotes imaginable, is that Ukraine surrenders. Trump's idea of peace is that we finish this up quickly so that Donald Trump could go and make a post and say, okay, everybody, give me that Nobel Peace Prize right now. And he's not thinking at all whatsoever about the future of Ukraine's existence. So you see all the Europeans around Donald Trump, and they're saying, I agree. We all want peace here, right? We all want peace. Okay. Noted, right? But we need to do this in a way that secures the future of Ukraine, that secures security for Ukraine, that has the backing of not just Donald Trump's word, which doesn't mean shit, but has the backing of all of Europe, and that we're all going to be in this together, and we're all going to stand there. And when we are able to end this, we are going to prevent Vladimir Putin and Russia from trying this again, or from pushing closer to Kyiv. That's what Europe's trying to ensure, while Donald Trump is just trying to get this done as quick as possible, no matter at the expense to Ukraine, no matter the expense of Ukrainian lives, just so he could make that all caps post and say, give me the Nobel Peace Prize. That's all he gives a damn about.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a totalitarian regime, the Trump regime, wanting a Nobel Peace Prize for promoting the imperial genocide ambitions of the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, while Donald Trump is so thirsty that he's literally reaching out to the Nobel Peace Prize board demanding that he be included in it. And by the way, if you want to know, like, well, where is Pete Hegseth? Like, what's Hegseth doing today? Well, Pete Hegseth has been posting photos or videos of himself doing pull-ups, and they're not even like real pull-ups. My athlete friend who's a professional athlete texted me. He goes, this dude's supposed to be an ex-Marine. There's no way. Inside Club 2, this whole administration, this is my professional athlete friend from Canada. This whole administration is a bunch of fakes. Even playing the tough guy role, they're a bunch of fakes. This is what it's just humiliating. It's every day. These people continue to bring shame to the United States of America. So I'm glad we've got people like Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. And as he pushes back, you know, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever. Like, I'm melting. To watch these MAGAs saying that they've been so hurt and how could you come after us? And it's so inappropriate what you're posting right here. And then on Fox, they're just like, oh my God, this guy's a governor. And the governor of the state is out here saying and putting all caps. This is highly unprofessional. It's like when you talk about Donald Trump's been first off, Newsom is mocking Trump. The whole thing is parody to mock the behavior of Donald Trump, which they don't ever acknowledge. Number one, they're okay with Donald Trump, their cult leader. They were such cult blinders that they're okay with the guy saying, I hate Taylor Swift, or making posts about like nuclear war through all caps, like ranting and raving lunatic stuff that every single day. Donald Trump posts 30, 40 of the most insane things. QAnon posts about the storm is coming, weird, inappropriate memes every day. Randomly, Trump will post his face and Elvis and say, I'm Elvis, everybody. Like, just weird behavior. But let me show you. This is a Fox host, Trey Gallagher, responding to Donald Trump, California Governor Gavin Newsom's post. Let's watch this one first.
Guarantees that's just the bottom line in all of this. Gavin Newsom, meantime, posting this on X, Liz, using all capitals, of course, trying to mock Trump, use Trump style. He's been doing this for a while now. He says, quoting, Trump just fled the podium with Putin. No questions, nothing. Total low energy. The man looked like he'd just eaten 3 buckets of KFC with Vlad. Admit it, Donnie J. You're terrified because this was the worst week of your life because of me, Gavin C. Newsom. I think he's trying to be funny. I don't know what he's trying to do, but it comes across as childish. And you're the governor of the biggest state in the union. What are you doing?
Honestly, I feel like he's trying so hard to be Trump, but he's coming off like Kanye West. He seems absolutely insane.
Okay, we'll talk about that. How about this one, Brett? Let's show the one from earlier today. Let's play this one.
This is Dana Perino on Fox today.
Happened back there. It was just very unusual, atypical, and.
Oh wait, I got to find Dana Perino on Fox. So let's show it. We'll go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, this is truly one of the most astonishing clips from Fox that you will see. And it is them imploding, absolutely melting down over Gavin Newsom's tweets, which they find very unserious and inappropriate, everybody. I mean, anybody who would have the audacity to send these all caps tweets and these bizarre AI images, they are unhinged, folks. And it's very just unbecoming of somebody who's in a position of power. All right.
Everybody, make sure you become a member. Join if you can. You can gift memberships to as many people as possible. Click the join button and check out our Substack, MeidasPlus.com. All right, let's go to our last quick break of the show. Look, starting a new business can be intimidating. I get it. MeidasTouch Network was not built overnight. You need the tools to help you engage in the day-to-day tasks, the growth. And so it's why we use Shopify. It made things easy for us. And I think you should use Shopify too. So Shopify is a commerce platform. It is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands like the MeidasTouch Network. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style, accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Even if you don't, easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling to the MeidasTouch network. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert. And with its world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond, you can count on Shopify. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So turn your big business idea into boom, boom, boom with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Meidas. Go to shopify.com/Meidas. One more time. That's shopify.com/Meidas.
Does listening to the craziness of the world just make you want to cuddle up on the couch with your cat? Well, me too. This podcast is sponsored by Smalls. If you're a listener of this show, you know that my cat cannot live without Smalls. To get 60% off your first order plus free shipping, head to smalls.com and use our promo code Meidas for a limited time only. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients that you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. My cat Chubbs eats Smalls every day. His favorite flavor is the chicken and turkey. My cat prefers Smalls way more than their previous cat food. Now, I legitimately did a taste test. I put two bowls side by side, and they immediately went to Smalls. Since making the switch to Smalls, my cat has had fewer hairballs, more balanced energy, a healthier weight, a softer and shinier fur coat, and a less stinky litter box. Still not a believer in Smalls? Forbes ranked Smalls the best overall cat food, while BuzzFeed said my cats went completely ballistic for this stuff. Smalls is possibly one of my favorite sponsors because my cat Chubbs is frankly obsessed. I use Smalls as a topper to transition Chubbs to Smalls, and the transition just went perfectly. My cat's breath is much better, and their fur coat is much softer ever since I switched to Smalls. Smalls also has a bunch of amazing treats and snacks that you can add in your order. My cats love the treats that came in our most recent box. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements. That's a big deal. What are you waiting for? Give your cat the food they deserve. For a limited time only, because you're a MeidasTouch podcast listener, you get 60% off your first Smalls order plus free shipping by using code Meidas. That's 60% off when you head to smalls.com and use our promo code Meidas. Again, that's promo code Meidas for 60% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you to our sponsors. Discount code in the description below. Brett, I wanted to show that clip now of Dana Perino, Fox host. Here's what she had to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom's social media trolling and bullying of Donald Trump. Let's play it.
The other thing is, or at the debate, the other thing for me is that for the last week, Gavin Newsom, and why am I giving him advice? You have to stop it with the Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If I were his wife, I would say, "What? You are making a fool of yourself. Stop it. Do not let your staff tweet. And if you're doing it yourself, put the phone away and start over." And if he's got a big job as governor of California, but if he wants an even bigger job, he has to be a little bit more serious.
One more I want to show everybody.
How are these real human beings? How are these real human beings?
Maria Bartiromo and MAGA Republican Congress member Issa. Here they go after Newsom as well. Let's play it.
Well, Governor Newsom fired off a Trump-style tweet yesterday saying this: Donald Trump, the lowest polling president in recent history. This is your second to last warning. The next one is the last one. Stand down now or California will counter-strike legally to destroy your illegal crooked maps in red states. Press conference coming, hosted by America's favorite governor, Gavin Newsom. Final warning next. You won't like it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I mean, is he joking? Is this a joke?
Well, you know, the ultimate in false statement, Trump's low approval rating, it couldn't be higher.
I know.
But from a more practical standpoint, look, in some states, the voters have allowed politicians to draw their own line. In California, the voters made a decision that it was going to be done by an independent commission, and he's trying to override that so we can go back to having politicians draw lines for themselves.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much.
Brett.
It's just unbelievable, but it shows you the effectiveness of Newsom's strategy here. Newsom is doing something that we really haven't seen too many politicians on the Democratic side of things do in a long time, and that's cutting through the noise. Donald Trump has normalized these all caps tweets, these deranged tweets, and the media doesn't speak about it ever. They act like it's normal. They never bring it up. The only place I ever see do daily reports on Donald Trump's social media posts, I think, is MeidasTouch, where Ben basically does it every single morning. And they're all crazy. And like Ben said earlier, he uplifts literal like QAnon accounts, the craziest stuff, executing his political opponents, things that are just totally sick, deranged, criminal, you name it. And so Gavin Newsom is giving Donald Trump and all the MAGA people a taste of their own medicine. He is posting just like Donald Trump through all these issues, just mocking Trump ruthlessly in all of these posts. And I could pull up some of the posts, although I know a lot of you have seen them. And you could see him right here. Newsom mocking Trump's posts as low energy because it didn't have enough caps. You see the AI Newsom images that folks are posting a lot of now. Folks are making their own Gavin Newsom style posts of AI images of him holding an American flag. And you saw Gavin Newsom's press office post this image of him with Hulk Hogan as an angel and Tucker Carlson, and it looks like Kid Rock surrounding him, like one of those weird culty pictures Donald Trump posts. And it's just rapid fire every single day, these all caps posts. And you see Fox, the Republican members of Congress, Republican politicians in general, MAGA propagandist supporters on the internet, they simply do not know what to do. It's like they are getting a mirror reflected back at them, and they do not like what they see, and they don't know how to handle it. And so we are seeing in real time right now the cognitive dissonance, and we are seeing in real time, if you were to say this sort of alternate reality of what if the Democrats had a politician who posted as crazy as Donald Trump? What if the Democrats had somebody? Would they be okay with this? Would they be okay with that sort of language or that sort of style? And we're seeing in real time that the answer is no, that they view Donald Trump as the separate thing. I don't even think a lot of these people realize what they are even saying. Like Dana Perino said that very straight. She truly did not understand the bit that Newsom is doing. I mean, someone should take his phone away. He is quite unhinged there. And this is just really crazy stuff. This is very unbecoming of somebody who is in such a high office and somebody who's seeking higher office. How you could say that when Donald Trump is your guy is just absolutely baffling to me. But it really shows you that these people truly are in a cult, and they are very deep in the cult. That is cult behavior that we are seeing ramped all the way up. And Newsom's strategy right here is working brilliantly. Anytime you see Fox respond like that, that's a huge win for Gavin Newsom. He just exposed them and their hypocrisy. Anytime you see these MAGA people try to clap back at Gavin Newsom, that's a huge win for Gavin Newsom. And he has really turned the whole thing on their heads. And he's really kind of taken the wind out of the sails of a lot of these kind of MAGA propagandists who have been used to fighting on this social media battlefield that has been very uneven. It's been very uneven because you have Donald Trump with his all caps posts and these MAGA people who say whatever the heck they want, no matter how inappropriate it is. And then you had people on the Democratic side and elsewhere just kind of playing it nice and not saying we can't stoop to his level. When they go low, we go high. We're not going to do that sort of thing. And now Gavin Newsom is like, all right, bet this is the game you want to play. I'm in, game on. And they're like, whoa. You're not allowed to do this. There's a reason it's breaking through. Newsom has gotten millions and millions and millions, maybe in the billions at this point, of just impressions from his posts right now. He has really emerged as a true kind of opposition leader right now that a lot of people have been looking for. And it's all because of this aggressive style, because he's backing up his words with action. He's pushing through this redistricting plan that requires the consent of the people in a ballot initiative in order to change the maps in California. And the trolling aspect of it, what he's doing on digital, is absolutely brilliant to witness.
Look, I'll give you an example. Donald Trump over the weekend randomly posted the word Bella, B-E-L-A, no explanation why, just wrote Bella, to which Governor Newsom responds, Donald Tiny Hands has written his autobiography this morning. Unfortunately, low IQ. He spelled it wrong. Beta. Soon you will be a fired beta because of my perfect, beautiful maps. Thank you for your attention to this matter, GCN. Or this is what he refers to JD Vance as Just Dance Vance. Not even JD Just Dance Vance can save Trump from the disastrous maps war he has started. Not even his eyeliner lines look as pretty as California map lines. He will fail as he always does, sad. And I, the peacetime governor, our nation's favorite, will save America once again. Many are now calling Gavin Christopher Columbus Newsom because of the maps. Thank you for your attention to this matter, GCN. I mean, it's
Christopher Columbus Newsom is wild.
It's just post after post like that. So I want to give a hat tip there to Governor Newsom and his whole entire social media team for those posts. Let's just talk about the DC protests right now. All weekend, we saw protests in D.C. We saw protests across the country again. It was not getting much coverage, but we saw protests in Los Angeles. We saw protests in Denver. And by the way, you know where there was 500,000 people protesting? In Tel Aviv. The protests in Israel growing even bigger by the day against the Netanyahu regime. Everyone's told to believe that, attacking in America by the regime, if you attack Netanyahu or criticize Netanyahu, that makes you anti-Semitic. Absolutely not. I mean, Netanyahu's committing atrocities in Gaza, and he should be called out for the Trumpian dictator that he is. And people out there in Tel Aviv are taken to the streets. 500,000 people who are out there. That's a huge freaking number, especially in a country the size of Israel. But let me just show you some of the protests in Washington, D.C. Let's take a look at what they look like.
This is fascism, a different form of brutal rule. It cannot be.
Then they went to the White House. They were in front of the White House as well. Donald Trump was golfing on the taxpayer dime this weekend. More golfing for Donald Trump. I think it's important to point out in Washington, D.C. as well. This is a good article from the Washington Post. They tracked where Trump's Gestapo forces are patrolling in Washington. Spoiler alert, they're not where the crime is. And so it should be noted just from the outset that crime in Washington, D.C. is at a 30-year low. The crime in D.C. is significantly less than, say, the crime in Mike Johnson's congressional district as well, or in areas like Ohio, South Carolina, West Virginia. These are red states that have sent their National Guard to Washington, D.C. Their cities, their communities have far higher crime rates than Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles. You can go through most red states, and it's like that as well. Red states tend to have the highest crime, the highest poverty, the lowest education, the poorest. They're the poorest states. They're the most dependent states on federal government aid to keep them alive. And then they go around and they attack, blue states. But we're seeing like where the National Guard and like the militarized ICE forces like marching at like the Lincoln Memorial or like Foggy Bottom or like Logan Circle, where like people are having like their morning matchas, like they're out there attacking like Uber Eats or whatever, the Grubhub, people on mopeds. And then when people in the community are out there saying like, dude, you're ruining our cities. Like, what the hell are you? Why are you attacking this person on the moped who's just like trying to do a delivery to like support himself and his family? Like, no, like I'm not even saying this jokingly. Like, this is really happening. The Trump Gestapo goes, the liberals ruined everything. We're going after the liberals. We're going after the liberals. I did a whole video on that. I don't need to replay that video here. Go back and watch the series I do every morning. I call it All Hell Breaks Loose because all hell is breaking loose in the streets. I also showed another video where Trump's Gestapo, these ICE agents, talked about how much they like the Proud Boys. I showed other ones where they gave like the like a white power, like white supremacist, signals like intentionally as well. And you just see these Trump Gestapo people kidnapping people off the streets who are just like minding their own business and just trying to make an just an honest day's living and just like work. Citizens, migrants, doesn't matter. I mean, if you have brown skin, you're being targeted by Trump's Gestapo, and I've been focusing on those videos every single day to bring you what's really happening in the street. So it's no surprise, Brett, that you have Trump's approval at an all-time low. -38. His approval rating is only 38%. in Pew. But then you go to the specific crosstabs amongst every group, he's underwater. Negative 68% in the Black community, negative 43% in the Hispanic community, negative 5% in the white community, 18 to 29-year-olds, negative 33%. 30 to 49-year-olds, negative 31%, 50 to 64-year-olds, negative 9%, 65 plus, negative 9%, negative 28 amongst women, negative 13 among men. I mean, deeply, deeply unpopular. And if you heard in Darrell Isa's clip that we played before, Darrell Issa was like, what are you talking about? He's surging in the polls. He's never been more popular. He's quite literally the least popular politician like in presidential history at this time.
Yeah, the fact is, if Trump didn't have this giant propaganda arm behind him of these networks like Fox and these social media propagandists and whatnot, like everybody would understand just how unpopular he is. But I think people get propagandized online, even people who aren't supporters of him, into thinking that he has more popularity than he has, which is why I think it is important to remind people that his approval rating is literally in the 30s. His approval at this point is basically just the MAGA Trump base, just the cultists. Like that's basically where we are at, where he is at. So don't let him fool you into thinking that he is more popular than he is. That's also what I think is so brilliant about Newsom's strategy of calling him out, because for whatever reason, psychologically, that strategy works at getting people to realize what the hell is going on and realize how crazy it is. Not the cultists, but other people in the country who are seeing that and are in on the joke. And we're seeing just day by day these constant overreaches of Trump and what he's doing with his government. And we're seeing him right now trying to rig these midterms for 2026 in real time. And so I think we all need to just be watching exactly what Donald Trump is doing. I think we need to be watching what he's doing with these mail-in ballots when he's making these threats to put this unconstitutional executive order forward where he says he's going to be getting rid of mail-in voting. By the way, mail-in voting has historically actually helped Republicans far more than it helped Democrats, just like historically speaking. But Donald Trump had his talk with Vladimir Putin. Now he wants to go through with that. You're seeing the redistricting efforts, in Texas, which is why Newsom's fighting back. You're seeing all this desperation because Donald Trump and the Republicans know they have the data. They realize how unpopular they are. They realize that right now we are speeding towards new elections, and they know that they are set up right now to get blown away. And they are trying to either stop the bleeding or they are trying to steal the elections. I want to remind you that all of these moves that we are seeing, everything, the troops on the street, the redistricting plan, everything else I was just speaking about, it does not come from a place of strength. It comes from a place of weakness. And Trump, his entire regime, and this Republican Party have never looked weaker. When you see those people on the streets patrolling safe blocks in Washington, D.C., tackling Uber drivers and Grubhub drivers and saying things like, oh, it's the liberals who made the city bad, you realize just how much of a joke these people are. These people do not deserve an iota of power. They do not deserve any of it. And so everybody needs to stay in this fight. And as we head towards these midterms, we need to continue to push back. We need to continue to uplift the voices who are doing a good job at pushing back against this regime. And we need to keep our heads high, and we need to continue to fight.
Why in the world, to your point, are we ceding our power to these losers? He's frustrated me so much how we ceded ourselves to these, to these losers in the first place and gave them authority that was undeserved and let them bully and let them behave in such amateurish and immature and unprofessional ways. I've said so long, what's always baffled me about all of this is how this behavior has been socialized by corporate news into Democrats versus Republicans and blue states versus red states. And they just normalize the behavior when at the end of the day, this behavior is a lot of times just good versus evil, facts versus lies, like unprofessional behavior versus professional behavior, acting like an adult and a good role model and acting like a baby, a child. No offense to babies and childs, but like this, it's just weirdo behavior. And we've given, I don't mean you or me, but like have given these people who don't deserve to be anywhere near the proximity of power, you know, the keys to the kingdom. And it's like, the hell is even going on here? And I hope one of the things that MeidasTouch has been able to do has been able to provide a blueprint to just show you can fight back, you can punch back, you can be strong, you can call. It's okay to call out this behavior and say, no, these posts by Donald Trump are not normal. Yes, we're watching Donald Trump go on roofs and talk about nuclear weapons and walk in zigzags. There's probably something wrong with him. We could call it out. I mean, this guy's clearly cognitively dysfunctional. I mean, we're seeing it, in my opinion, we're seeing it in front of our eyes. I mean, this guy's saying the most deranged things. He's attacking our allies. Stop reporting that he's doing deals when he's not, when he's sending letters to people. Those aren't deals. Show me the piece of paper where there actually is a deal. Stop reporting on our economy like things are fine and that there's no inflation when we know inflation is really killing American people and causing so much pain. Just restore facts and honesty and normalcy. That's what I'm looking for here. That's what I want MeidasTouch legacy to be, is that we keep on just fighting to say, here's what's happening. And it's not just going to be here in America. We're going to be launching Midas Canada. Then we're going to go to Australia. I'm talking to people in New Zealand. I'm talking to people in the UK. I'm talking to people in Europe. I'm talking to people in Mexico and Central America and South America. I'm talking to people in Africa. We're going to start building pro-democracy networks across the world, and we're going to merge them and build them together so that we're all speaking about freedom and we're all speaking about honesty and integrity, and we're joining forces together because together we're stronger, okay? And that's one of the messages I want to bring as well. Reminder to everybody, the MeidasTouch Network will be in Omaha, Nebraska this weekend. We hope you can join us. Adam Mockler will be the host, and he will be joined by Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democratic Congressmember Maxwell Frost. The seats are running out, so make sure if you want to attend, go to won'tbackdowntour.com. That's won'tbackdowntour.com. We hope to see you in Omaha, Nebraska. Reserve your seat before it gets totally filled. So check that out. Become a member of our YouTube page. Subscribe. Become a member. You can gift memberships to as many people as possible. Do that. And then let me leave by reminding everybody as well. Epstein. I'm going to remind us all every episode. I'm not going to forget about Epstein. So tomorrow, or if you're listening to this on Tuesday, today, the Epstein files are supposed to be released to the House Oversight Committee, as Democrats were able to outmaneuver Republicans to get those files released. We'll see what happens, of course, but I don't believe that the full files are in an unredacted fashion are going to be released, but we will keep you posted every step of the way. You've got MAGA Republicans already positioning their cover up right now and working hard on that, but we'll bring you the facts here on the MeidasTouch Network as soon as that gets released. And don't worry, I'm sure you see we keep on doing videos about Epstein on a daily basis still, just as we've been doing that for about the last 5 years here on the MeidasTouch Network. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers with your support. Great episode. We missed Jordy, but he'll be back on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.